So
you may have been one of them.
Probably. So I was at all of those. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, very
so
nice.
it's nice. Yeah, it's good. It's good. So Amy's gonna be online a little bit.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure we're not gonna miss Ted by 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So critical.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is he okay?
Yeah.
What is this list here? Oh, you'll think. Okay. Sonia, how are you? Good. Good to see you.
Thank you.
I just wanted you to know how colorful I am. Colored.
That's
book.
nice.
Yes. Although I do get confused on the actual shade of blue that's preferred, but maybe that morphs over time. A little darker, yeah. I don't know.
They're not asking. I'm not asking for the full stuff.
Good. Tim, how are you? Good to see you.
Test.
Amy said she's reading on mine. Can you just take notes?
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome back. It's great. Someone from.
No, I did my comp slot. He's a teacher.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. Oh, good.
Alicia.
Check. 1, 2. Can everybody hear us out there in Zoom land?
I think that's a good idea. That vision. I will mock
Please
it up.
put in the chat if you can hear.
No. I have something in mind. The challenge. What? Oh yeah, I think it's great.
Check. Can everybody hear?
I'm ready.
Thank you very much.
Brad's not here. Amy's online just a little bit. We're missing Ted.
And Brad will not be here?
Not
Oh, right. He has the. Right.
Okay. You did? Is this on? Is this working?
I think it's good, but I think it's test. Probably turn up.
Good evening. No, it's not working. Yeah, is that better? Okay, good. Good evening, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. And we'll do roll call real quick. Alexa. Jane. Laith. Sonia. Miss Kaler. Peter. Dr. Signor. Alicia. Miss O'Neill. And Tim. Okay, so Ms. Zemnick is online, and Mr. Kessler and Mr. Smith are not here. Okay, we need to approve the agenda, but I'm going to make an amendment to it. We are going to delete item number 9, and we're going to move number 8 into the principal's report. Can someone make a motion for that? Oh, I guess I make a motion. Who wants to second it? Thank you. Ms. O'Neill, second that. All in favor? Awesome. Okay, so we are going to have public participation. I am requesting that Sabrina go first because she has to jet after this. Yes. So I'd like you to introduce yourself, and you'll need to speak into the microphone so the people online can hear, and that'd be great.
Thanks for going so fast. Thank you. Thanks. Is this working? And truly, thank you, all of you, LSC, for all of your time and efforts, hard work. I know it is a lot. So my name is Sabrina Spitznagel. I am the parent of a current junior and a 2021 Lincoln Park High School graduate who's now a sophomore at Madison. I'm also the president of Friends of Lincoln Park High School. I've been involved with Friends of for about the last 5 years, and I've been pretty much just listening in on these meetings for the last 2 or 3 years. And other than the Friends of updates, which I occasionally give, I normally don't speak at these meetings. I really prefer to not. But after last week's meeting, I truly felt, which I felt was just really hit a new negative level. I felt that I had to say something. Someone needed to speak up in support of Dr. Steinmiller and the administration, and honestly, the entire Lincoln Park High School. Because I just feel like this, again, negativity has just gotten out of hand and does not accurately reflect, I mean, at least my experience at the school. I can't obviously speak for anyone but myself, but I don't think I'm alone in this feeling. And I also was just sort of mortified at last week's meeting, given that it was probably many people's first LSC meeting. And it upsets me greatly that was their like introduction to the school. So I just would hope we could maybe change that moving forward. And I just don't want negativity to spread, and negativity breeds negativity. And I just think we need to turn this ship around and figure out how to work together. And especially when, honestly, I just feel like all Dr. Steinmiller tries to do is make this school like the best it can be, and a premier high school that is a first choice high school for students, and that's a place for all students who are here, which I really think is all of our goals. I mean, I have to believe that we are all here because that is our goal. And you know, let's not forget, he came here during a unprecedented pandemic. There are so many challenges here. Like I get overwhelmed every time I think about them. And I don't know anyone who's here more hours than you. I honestly don't know when you sleep. And you bring up very positive energy. From your monthly coffees, which you probably want to start up again, your newsletters, and just, big ideas for the back to school bash, and, other things to just bring some school spirit and just make this place as best as it can be. It's already a great place. At the same time, I really do want to emphasize how much I appreciate all of the faculty and staff. I really do. You guys are all amazing. And both of my parents were teachers. I know how hard your job is. It is incredibly difficult, especially there's a lot of stuff happening here. It is not easy. And really, I mean, I spend the better part of every day trying to raise funds so that we can do what we can to support you in every possible way and you know, grant every request that I get, which obviously I can't do, but I try. And I also want completely understand and appreciate everyone's frustrations. They are real. Like these are not things that you shouldn't be upset about. We should be. I agree. But no one and no school is perfect. And I don't think that the things that are being said are done are really warranted in this case. I think that there has to be a better way to move forward and to be positive and to work together and like, again, not go back to things that are already happened and just, again, move forward. And I think that's about it. But if you're not happy with the way things are, again, please get involved. Come to my, I think I might have taken up more than 2 minutes, so I'll just do my update super fast right now. Come to our meetings. Our first one is on Tuesday in this room, 6:30. Read your emails, add some recipes, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And again, thank you for letting me go and for your time.
Is there anybody else in person who would like to speak? Yes.
Hi, I'm Nancy Hodges, the mother of a junior, and not to be negative. It's a great school. I'm so happy, but we want to get the wrestling program going this year, and this is not a complaint. But word on the street from my son and other kids who want to join wrestling is that we still do not have the equipment that's necessary to make wrestling happen. Parents joined together and raised money last year. There's been no information. Zero. We don't know I'm not questioning about the money. It's just, the effort was made. The kids really want to wrestle. Why don't we have the mats? Can we get an update? Who do I talk to? I was thinking maybe would there be an LSC member who could be a liaison with athletics? Going forward, it's an idea because I'm also hearing from football parents who can't get any information about their kid who wants to go to practice. And anyway, so just a little better communication with athletics and anything that I can do to help. I'm here. And, go Lions. Thank you.
Ms. Hodges, Amy Zednick said online to email Brian Hansen.
I'm sorry?
Amy Zednick online said to email Brian Hansen.
Brian Hansen.
Yes, he's in charge of the boosters,
Yeah.
and he is the guy until our AD comes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
I'll send you his email.
And thank you, entire LSC, especially
Thanks.
students.
Hi, my name is Constantine Nelson. I'm here on behalf of the Music Production Club, and we are looking to call to attention our request for a space to build a professional recording studio inside LP. We believe this will not only benefit our club, but the general arts program, as it provides our bands with recording equipment, and it is a very accessible form of music for those not in bands. It's a great way to teach career preparedness for those looking to get into music technology and those looking to perform and work in live studio environments. And we believe it's got a lot of promotional value for LP, as we can use the recording studio to help make professional audio and stuff for Linkin Park promotional material and all that. In conclusion, we just ask for your enthusiasm and support in building this studio and finding a space for us to actually lay down and outfit with equipment.
Okay, wait. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Sure.
How many students are in the music production club?
Right now it is about 9.
Okay.
There's kids who are trying to join, as we haven't had a real meeting yet.
Okay.
But,
And you just need space. You do not need equipment, or you need equipment too?
We're raising funds for equipment on our own, and we currently have a grant of $5,000 for recording equipment from the Old Town Triangle Association. So right now, what we're mainly looking for is a room so we can begin to plan that out.
Okay.
Not that big of a space, honestly. Like a room that has the size of half this room would be amazing. As recording equipment doesn't honestly take up too much And we're not looking to buy a whole big like monitors and everything. We just need some pretty simple equipment.
Okay.
How much overall space would you need by soundproofing for the walls, division between the recording space and the mixing space?
Sorry, can you repeat the beginning of that question?
Like renovations to the overall.
He wants to know if there's going to be like soundproofing or what is needed.
There will be like soundproofing mats that we would just stick on the walls. Foam mats is pretty adequate for our use. If we do go further than that, we'd probably have a recording booth that wouldn't be actually renovating the room. It would be like a separate setup.
Okay.
Don't we have that equipment already?
Formal structure of this, I can respond to in the principal's report, just so we're keeping the structure of public participation. So I can bring that up in the principal's report. So if you stick around for that, then I'll try to address some of those things just to keep our processes going here too. Cool.
Is this the first time you're making the request, or has it been made before?
It's been made before. It was made sometime around April last year. We did talk to the administration about trying to find a space, and we've been looking for a space since. Yeah.
And what was the response in April?
They said they were looking, but we haven't seen much besides that. Yeah.
Okay. And is the music department at all like related? Should they be involved in this, or this is like a separate thing?
I would love them to get involved, as I feel the having a recording studio benefits every facet of our performing arts program.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? I don't. Oh, we have some online. If there's no more in person. Okay. If we could promote some of these people online.
First I see is Oz. Oz, should be able to speak. Asking you to unmute.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hey guys, can you guys hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, I'm a parent of a freshman. His name is Oz Ozguç. My name is Ozgun Ozguç. If you're wondering, I'm from Turkey, but he was, he was born here in Chicago, basically. So so far we really, he's actually enjoying trying to adjust his high school, life. Now my slight problem here is, and we tried to fix this problem in multiple ways. When we were asked first by Miss Tuki about his second language class choice, we definitely, we told her that it would be Spanish, please. And then, of course, second was asked, and we said French. And then we also had to fill out some forms, and it was the same answer. And he was really hoping to, to learn Spanish. And then when everything settled down after the first week, because that first week was really chaotic, and everything settled down, he realized he was basically being pushed into French. And when I reached his counsel, Mr. Merle, he said that because the Spanish classes are overloaded, overcrowded, and Oz was really frustrated, and so we were hoping, then we asked for some way to somehow, move him to a Spanish class, and he told us the only way to do this is to basically, move his schedule, if it's possible somehow, even when he would need approval for this, he would have to change to a choir class, which made him very happy, because my family, everybody in my family come from classical music background. Everybody either in opera artists or they're except me, everybody else is, or my brother's a conductor, everybody else is in classical music. So he was really happy. I was very happy that he would actually get into this type of area. And but it when it came down to to approval, unfortunately, Dr. Steinmiller said no. And we tried to reach out to him. My wife emailed him twice, and she is telling me that there is no response to it. Then we received an email, basically to the to everybody, like a little news thing, and it was saying that they're gonna try to fix this problem somehow. We could also include the 10th year students. So I mean, I'm really hoping something can be done about this. I am not really sure how he was actually put into to another class. How somebody chosen to put into a different class? Was it his last name? Was it alphabetical? Or was it random? Because I mean, he is just really frustrated. He would really like to do, just being Spanish and choir, if possible. And we're hoping for a solution for this. So that's my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Steinmiller will respond to you at a later date, individually, yes. And then if we could promote Ms. Smith. All right. Yep, I think you can speak.
Yep. Nope. I'm not going to assume that you can hear me. I will assume you can hear me, and I'll just start talking, just like I do in my classroom. One, I want to thank Dr. Steinmiller for actually responding to my concern about not getting information on the teachers' letters that come out on Sunday, and he did put that on there. I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the hard work that our counseling department has been doing in trying to move our students around. But tonight, my concern is I am the sailing team advisor. We cannot officially sponsor a sailing team because of water restrictions. And I had spoken to Coach Lozano last year before he left about getting some support for the sailing team that we do have. We are actually quite successful, finishing mid-fleet in some high school regattas, and trying to build that team is quite difficult, but sailing is a passion of mine. And luckily I'm able to teach a few sailors every year, and I just don't know who to speak to or who to reach out to get some funding for pennies, which are covers or shirts essentially for the sailors, so that they can properly represent LP out on the water. And our sailing season, if you know Lake Michigan, the water is still cold, and these high school sailors go out, their sailing season doesn't start until late September and goes until early November, and then starts again in mid-March when there is still snow coming down, and goes until late April. So these students really deserve our respect, our support, and some funding and support from the school, if that's possible at all. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to talk about athletics later on, and Dr. Steinmiller said that he would address that at that time.
Fantastic. Thank you.
If we could promote Emily.
Hi, thank you. I will be quick because my question is also about athletics. I'm sorry, my name is Emily Schaefer. I'm the mother of a junior who is on the volleyball team. And I'm actually sitting outside a volleyball game right now that they just had and were successful in. So cheers to the Lions. But the volleyball is also having problems, as I know all of the athletic teams likely are, in the absence of an athletic director. And I know we're going to discuss this later, so I'll wait and hear what the information is. But what I'd specifically like to know about is whether we'll be able to have any home games, because I know something that's really tough for the players is that it's tough to always be away. And, you hear the cheering for the other teams, and it's just sort of demoralizing to not have any home games. And I understand that we don't have an ability to have home games right now. So I'd like to know specifically whether that's on the horizon. Similar to the question from the person involved in wrestling, we also have individually, they did a fundraiser earlier this year. My understanding is that they've raised something like $12,000. So I'm hopeful that with that money, we can do whatever needs to be done to the facilities to be able to get them, in order. And the second question just has to do with a bus, because that's the other thing that's really tough on families is to try and work out, and on the girls themselves, figuring out how they're going to get to all these away games every time. It's just pretty difficult. And I understand that there's other athletic teams that have buses, and I'm not sure why that's not possible, especially if there's money that we may have raised for it. So I had reached out to Dr. Steinmiller about this, and I know that he works very, very hard, and I sort of didn't expect a response from him, but I'm just not sure who the person is to contact in the absence of an AD. So I will stop there, but I'm hoping that you can address those points when we get to athletics, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, we will address it at that time. Anyone else?
Hi, all. My name is Cheryl Gold. I have to hold it close? Okay, I will then, very close. My name is Cheryl Gold, and I am a retired CPS teacher and university professor, but my job here tonight is to represent Senator Sarah Feigenholtz. She has decided that she needs to stay in touch with all the schools in the 6th senatorial district, and so my new title is Education Liaison. And this high school is one of only 2 fully neighborhood schools in the district, so I think you're all constituents of hers. So thank you for inviting me, and I will leave my email address and phone number with the chair and with the principal, and you'll let me know if there's ever anything we can do for you. That includes all of you guys, too. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to close public participation. We are going to item number 3, approval of minutes from August 9th, 2022.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Okay, that passes. Now we have the Lincoln Park High School dance team. Ms. Hilton? Yeah, we're going to put your presentation up.
Hi everyone. So this is our second LSC meeting. Oh. Hi, my name is Bella Appizato, and I am a senior here at LP, and I'm the captain of the dance team.
Hello, my name is Samantha Berman, and I'm a junior.
I'm Victoria Pilatos, and I'm also a junior.
And I'm Ms. Hilton. I am not a junior, but I am their coach and been their coach for the past 4 years. I'm here to support them and to answer any questions that the community has, but this is going to be their presentation. So I'm going to sit down till you need me.
Okay, so like I said, this is our second LSC meeting that we're attending for this specific thing, but in case some people weren't at the previous meeting to see us present, this past summer, our dance team had qualified to attend the National Dance Competition, Orlando, Florida. This is a really big deal for our team. It's the highest level of competitive dance a high school can reach. And this is through the Universal Dance Association, which is the collegiate Dance Association. So if any of us were to go on to dance in college, this is the association we would dance with. Like I said, I am the senior and a captain. I've been on this team for all 4 years that it started, quite literally have been on this team since day one. So this is a really big deal for us to have grown from a DIY team all the way to make it to nationals. Okay, yeah, so a quick timeline for a little bit more about our team to really understand why this is such a big deal for us. So in 2019, the team was started by Hilton, and we had a very good group of students. It was a lot of DIY projects, making our own uniforms. And later that year, in 2020, in February, we placed second at the CPS City Dance Competition. That was a really big deal for us, very unexpected in our first year. Then COVID hit, and we continued to practice all throughout quarantine online through Zoom, continued to condition and practice our dance skills. When it was allowed to come back in person, we put together 2 routines really quickly and virtually competed in a competition where we placed second at City again for the second year in our second year. This past school year when I was a junior, it was obviously our first in-person full year, and it was great, very successful, and we ended up winning the city title. So we got first place at that same competition. We got second place 2 years in a row. This past summer, like I said, we went to UDA Dance Camp, which my teammates will talk about that more specifically, but in that we won a lot of individual awards, and we won a lot of whole team awards that made us qualify for nationals. So this is a really big deal. We haven't even got to state yet, but we jumped state and made it straight to nationals. I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so Sam is going to talk about camp specifically, which is what got us to nationals.
Okay. Hello, again, I'm Samantha or Sam. And so camp had a lot of different things. We did a lot of different technique classes and learned different routines. And it was about team bonding because we needed to connect as a team so we could do better when we were doing spirit or going to other competitions. So what happened was we learned 2 routines and we performed, and you won like different prizes for how well you did in that routine. And that's what qualified us to nationals, as well as performing a routine that we learned over the summer. We did like 4-hour practices for a whole week. It was very long, but we did well in our routine. We placed second in our division. So that also qualified us to nationals. But yeah, there was a lot of team bonding, and we learned how to work more as a team and learn what helps us grow and what helps us grow as not only as individuals but as dancers. And I think it was a really great experience.
Okay, so the dates for nationals are February 3rd through 6th. This competition is in Orlando, Florida, at Walt Disney World at their ESPN Center. This competition and our performance will be broadcasted live on ESPN, so it's like a whole legit thing. And like I said, it is in Disney World.
Wait, where is it? Yes. Next slide, please. Sorry.
Okay. So I'm going to be talking about the cost and specific fees. So like Bella stated, Nationals is a highly ranked dance competition. You quite literally can't just get into here. So the money that we will be receiving goes for our simple stuff first, as you know, like transportation to and from and flights and hotels. We have meals. We have, we need, let alone the competition fee and admission. Uniforms, we do have 2 routines, one jazz, one pom. Choreography from Stephanie Rakaik. She is the Varsity Illinois rep. So if you know what Varsity is, it's like the sportswear. It's like this whole bigger brand. You'll usually see it on some of the LP athletic teams' apparel. It's a V. And round trip transportation to and from site. And not only is this money going straight for nationals, but like Bella said, we still have a whole another set of competition. We have a whole season to finish. And all this money is going to help every single dancer on this team. And right now we are trying to look about 30K just so that every dancer has an opportunity and no dancer has to pay out of pocket. Yeah.
Can we go to the next slide? Next slide.
So, like I said, this opportunity is a great way to represent LP and CPS on a national stage. To
Why
our
are there only two of you? Why? What? Oh. I said, oh, I just thought that was okay. And what about Freya? Oh. So here's the thing that is not, you guys are not going to enjoy. We're listening to the LSC meeting happening. We're like muted, but we're listening to LSC meeting because they're addressing athletics.
Okay, I would like you to know that Kansas Internet has been ordered. I know I already told you that, but then I heard from Sammy that you were going to say anything.
Here we go. Round 3. Third time's the charm. Okay. Good. Perfect. Okay. Once again, just to sum it up, this is a great opportunity to represent LP on a national stage. This will be aired live on ESPN, so everyone around the world, that includes families, friends, can view this. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. LPS serves kids all around Chicago. We have kids from Chicago all around on income and demographics. And with this opportunity, you are giving kids something that they might not be able to get regularly. This is something that you achieve only by hard work and only by getting here. And this is something that passing high school can be one of those memories that you look at forever and truly is an opportunity of a lifetime. I'm sorry, can you click out of that?
Oh, yeah. I am not the best. Oh no, I'm the other computer.
Was the meeting muted on purpose, maybe?
Are we good? Perfect. Okay.
So fundraising. I mentioned this a little bit before at the previous meeting, but last year and kind of continuing to this year, we did Snap Raise and GoFundMe. Right now, after we needed more uniforms and different costs, continuing to this year, we have around a little over 2,000 left. And this is for the whole team. This isn't just for nationals. The whole team still needs to be supported. We have competition fees. There's a lot of different costs that still need to be covered with that money, which is why we were asking for a little assistance. So current efforts that we're making right now, we have homecoming proposals. So someone can purchase a way for us to help them propose to someone. It's a really cute idea. We did that at the last game, and it was really sweet and magical and makes good memories. And we're also doing at each home game, we're selling spiritware. So someone can purchase beads and different things, and that we're also making money from that. We have different ideas as well, but that's what we're working on currently. And yeah, so fundraising would cover all sorts of uniforms, different costs, transportation. It really covers a lot. Yeah.
Just to add to that, we also, like I said, have another Snap Raise starting up, literally, I think tomorrow, next week. So we understand a lot of the fundraising efforts has to come from us, but it's hard to fundraise as a dance team because dance is a very expensive sport. So it may seem like a lot of money for one sport, might not be as much money for a dance team. Also, dance is a very close-knit community, so a lot of us already have family members and friends who are already dancers, so it's harder to fundraise from other family and friends who are already know the dance world, but it's hard to just have only that community. So in addition to asking for support and funds, we're also asking for the entire LP community to rally around donating to us, so it doesn't have to just come from pockets of athletes and the school, but also if the whole school can rally together for one cause.
All right, everybody. So registration for this event actually happens in October. So we kind of need to know what kind of budget we're working with from the school so we can figure out if these dancers can afford the rest of it on their own if they are not able to fundraise this amount of money. It is a lot of money. I know we're asking for a lot, but it's a lifetime opportunity. Many teams do not make it to this level. So it really is a huge opportunity to be at this stage and at this level, especially for these dancers, some of them seniors. They won't have this chance ever again to do these. So included in this presentation, there's also an itemized statement where you can see the breakdown of all the costs, why it's that expensive. The cost in the breakdown, it's on the last slide, the link to the costs. One more. Yep. Itemized statement. Perfect. Yeah, so on here it includes the team's travel package that includes a 3-night hotel stay, entrance in to the actual event, the competition fees, the meal package, which is $17 per person. But if you've ever been to Disney, you know meal packages and meals in general are a lot. That is just what they're offering in the package. 2 uniforms, one for jazz and one for pom. Most of these you'll see in the totals that I underline, there's 2 options. One is a little bit higher. That comes with the choreographer, Stephanie Raciak from Varsity. She is the varsity rep. She choreographs routines for the Hawkettes, Maine South. And then one that is a personal friend choreographer, which is a much cheaper, but is not a CPS vendor. So approved vendor costs would be mostly through Varsity at the bottom there. This cost has already increased by $4,000 due to the increase in flights. So if you open up the last budget proposal that we presented, you'll see that those costs are still the same, but it has increased by $4,000 in 4 weeks, which is a lot. It's going up. Yes, so it's all in here, whatever you need, but we do kind of have to know what we're looking at.
Okay, I have some questions.
Tell me more.
How many students are on the team?
We have 27 on the team.
And in a perfect world, how much would each student contribute?
So we qualified under small group division, so we can only take 13.
Got it. Okay. And then those 13, how much do you want their families to contribute towards this?
Tori?
So this is a tricky question. Again, this team is made up of girls whose income range from very high to very low. The ideal cost is 0. Of course, I assume we will try to raise as much money as we possibly can. But again, going to a public school, there's just a limit of what you can ask these girls on the team and these families of how much money. So in, again, a perfect world, I want to say 0, but we will do what we can, which is why we need to know how much we are receiving, because we need to know that so we can do this, so we can do that, so we can go. You know what I mean?
And then when you register, how much money is due at that time?
100 per dancer. For the girls that are on the team and the dancers, they actually have purchased all of their uniforms. So they've purchased the sweater, those pants, their jazz shoes, their tank tops, even their LP uniforms. Nothing has been given to us from the school in terms of uniform, other than bows for St. Patrick's Day and some pom-poms. So they've spent $275 on just the uniform alone. And that was the budget-friendly uniform with no glitz, no diamonds, just the budget-friendly. So dance is very expensive. The approved vendors are very expensive, but they do supply a lot of their own gear already.
So 13 people can go on a team of 27. How are you selecting who gets to go? Because I'm sure everyone would love to go.
Everyone would love to go. We had 7 go, 6 competed. Another dancer was supposed to go but couldn't because of family emergencies. So those dancers that were at camp were invited to go too because they're the ones that performed. And then we asked our seniors and our captains. So we have 3 captains that were not able to attend. So we asked them to come. Ruby, Ava, Bella. Oh, Ava was there. Ruby, Ava and Bella. Wow. Sorry, I start work at 6 a.m. on Thursdays, so it's been a really long day. Ruby and Bella were asked to go because they are captains that weren't there. And then we were looking at other events that dancers were at, the UDA College Combine. So these are the girls that decided they want to pursue dance at the collegiate level. And they had attended a combine 2 weeks ago to be recruited. So I asked those veteran dancers that went to that to join us.
Hey. So a couple of questions. Have you raised anything? Do you have a certain amount of money that you have in a savings account or something?
We have $2,800 through our boosters. We had more money in that account, but if you go to the slides page before that, yeah. Yes, so this is actually everything that our fundraising efforts before, when our account was bigger, covered. So we've already used part of our fundraising efforts to afford and to purchase these items for the team. What we have left is $2,800.
Yeah. It would probably be good if this was shared with all the LSC members because we haven't had a chance to look at it. Great. Yeah. In a perfect world, we would love to fly you and have you stay at one of the Disney resorts and all of that for the optimal experience. Is there any way, do you have to, I'm assuming that you're staying at either the Magic Kingdom or one of the Disney resorts.
We are actually in the budget-friendly All-Star Resort. So I had called the director, Stephanie, and already talked to her about this. How can we cut the costs
Offset
down?
yeah.
And her response was it doesn't include transportation to and from the event, and then
Right.
you would have to pay the competition cost. So it's actually cheaper
So you are
to do
working
it that
that.
way. Yeah.
And then flying. Remember when we went to spring break down to Fort Lauderdale, we took a bus. So is that doable? Is it cheaper?
We could potentially take a bus, but they've already missing Friday and Monday from school. So it would be like
I get
another
that.
spring break in February. I mean, if you're all okay with it, I'm okay with it.
I think those are just the questions that I want to throw out there because your responses are, they're adequate. They make
are
sense.
partnered with American and United, so that's why I put them on there for the discounts that they offer. American and United also offer a free carry-on, so that cuts down the cost a little bit. I'm trying.
Spirit is not one of the options. They're usually way cheaper than United.
Spirit is always an option. When you search up the dates and times, like even on Expedia, it's not there. It's already booked up. Yeah. People got their bid, went home, and started purchasing the tickets. That's why the ticket prices have also increased already.
So something we'll need to follow up on. So if we were to, looking at your breakdown, I think that's what we start going in. Some things that potentially could be funded, some things that potentially couldn't. As we think about vendors and different things. So if we're doing a trip, we're trying to put together a trip, usually we reach out to some type of travel agent because that's usually the whole process of booking this. Like the hotel you may stay at may not be a vendor. They may not. But usually the travel agencies that we work with for any of these kind of things would put the whole package together. And often they can find discounts for flights. Because right now it's nearly $800 a flight per person. That's where a lot of your expenses falling in. And I did a quick thing in Orbitz. Spirit is like $200, but we probably wouldn't want that. But you would work with so what I would suggest is you and I can collaborate on work. Let's just get a proposal from an agent, see what the entire cost of that would be. Some of these things may not be like vendors or different things that we can address, but I'd like to see what a travel
On
agency
the
would look like.
last slide, there's also the packages offered. So if you go to that last slide. Yes, that one. Nationals pricing breakdown. I think. So this is their package that they run. They are a vendor. It includes, again, the stay, the hotel. The meals are not on there, but it is offered. That's something they added in. The transportation to and from the event, including the ticket into the event, which I don't think if you go through a travel agent, that'll have to be a separate cost. So you would have to actually pay the commuter coach participation fee no matter what, plus whatever the travel agent is charging on that to stay off of a Disney location, and the transportation and buses.
You need this by October. 1,300.
Yes, but we kind of need to know the budget because if they can't afford to go, there's no point in registering them.
Yes. Okay, so, I mean, we can't give you an answer right now, but when we get to the budget and the principal's report, I hope that we have more clarity, so that you guys know what direction we're heading in. I mean, we would love to just give you 30,000 if we had it. Like,
please.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get 30,000, you get 30. Yeah, right. We would all love that. I know it's a lot to ask. We, of course, don't expect to get everything. We are going to work for it. They've been working for it. They volunteer not just at this school, but outside of it. Like, they're present in the community, and they've been working hard to create this presence, and then dance on top of it is amazing. So they go above and beyond to represent this school, this community. So anything that you can help us with, we will gladly take it. It's a lot.
You need an answer so that you can move forward. So as an LSC and as admin, we have to tell them what we have and what they don't have.
Yeah, we will do that.
Thank you.
Wait.
You said you were going to CPS.
Yes, so the approved vendors on there is Varsity. Varsity runs, they work with UDA, so they're actually approved. The only thing that is not approved on there is the choreography from my friend that would be providing choreography if we chose to go with the cheaper choreographer or the less expensive choreographer. And to and from the airport in Orlando, which would be through Mears. They're the shuttle service out there would be the most cost effective. They are not a CPS vendor, but everything else on there is a vendor. Yeah, so actually, Kristen's here. We've been in contact. There hasn't been a Friends of meeting yet to discuss that. Yeah, so we'll be there and talk to them then.
Can we give her the mic just so people online can hear?
I'm sorry, everyone. Well, we support all of you all the students here at LP, and I really try to. I know we do. My question is, are we able to, as staff and members of Lincoln Park High School, to donate? And what are the big fundraisers? What are the really big fundraisers that we can do right now? Being here in Lincoln Park, I don't see why we can't raise $30,000. I live on a budget myself, but I would donate something. It may not be a lot, but is there any way that we all can help out? I think we can do it. I mean, the LSC, we can't guarantee, we can't give a blank check, but I think I would like to contribute something, and I think a lot of people would. So maybe we can go that route as well. What you think, everyone? They have a GoFundMe.
So due to SNAP raise, we are no longer able to use GoFundMe because we've partnered with SNAP as a school. But we do have a GoFundMe out there. It's still running, but we will be using SNAP raise. A lot of you in here have actually donated to us already, so we appreciate you. If you go to the website, sorry, important links, the LP Palms website. Yeah. So we've actually created a website. Woohoo, go us. Under the donate tab at the top. To the right. Yeah. Donate. Anyone can donate anytime to our boosters. You can do through PayPal. You can do through Zelle. It's all on there. You just have to make sure you put dance or palms in the description. That goes right into our boosters account. Even through SNAP raise, they do take a percentage of that money. So we lose money that way, but we also gain money, followers through SNAP raise, through GoFundMe, but through Zelle and PayPal, that goes right directly into the account.
I was just gonna say that's kind of what I talked about. Of we would like also just to boost it to the community. If there's way to get more student involvement and student hype, if other students that aren't related to dance or the friends of dance, or even just like the close sports like cheerleading and football, who know us more personally, can just know more about the dance team and know why this is important for the whole school rather than just 13 girls in the school, would be really helpful.
A lot of teams do send-offs. I mean, even for homecoming, the football team, we're doing a huge pep assembly. It would be great to honor these other athletes. Soccer's a huge program here. Robotics won this year. We have a lot of great programs, and I think we need to create spirit around all of the programs that are doing really well, whether it's send-offs or assemblies, which are being planned, which is awesome, but hype around those other athletics and clubs too.
One last question. What day in October is that due?
I believe it's on that website. I think it's October 25th.
Okay.
Top.
Not that I want to put it off anymore, but I just want to know. Okay.
So something we can set up a meeting next week, like maybe on Wednesday some things that we do need to think about. I'll talk about in the principal's report. We are hiring a new AD, hopefully to have starts next week. We do have limited funds for all of our sports, and so something to take into consideration: $30,000 could be about half of our funding for all athletics at Lincoln Park High School, and that's a lot, right? And so that's something that needs to be considered. I think this is an exceptional event. I mean, if I won the lottery, I would help with this process, right? And so I really want you to be able to participate and want to think about what that can look like from a school standpoint. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about athletics and the principal's report, as well as with our financial part that I think may create some additional avenues. I'm not saying that 30,000, but we may be able to do a portion of it. And that's, so if you and I can set up a time on Wednesday, we can talk through what that might look like. Cool.
Good.
All right, y'all.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, on to the principal. Oh, you know what? Can we put student voice? We made a mistake on the agenda. Can we put student voice right in front of you?
As a part of my principal's report, I'd like to start with student voice.
Perfect.
Hello? Is this on? Okay. I just pull up my notes. So SVC is looking for a sponsor. We currently are talking to Mr. Abed, JJ. He was here earlier. He also expressed interest, and Miss Theus also said that she wanted to be involved. So that's how our search is going for SVC. We hope to get started soon.
And then we were talking about getting Clubapalooza back because I feel like there hasn't been a lot of communication revolving around clubs and just getting them started. And I think we kind of discussed this earlier, but during announcements, like clubs one by one have been doing them and it's just not as effective. So if we could just get that started after school one day, that would be great.
Okay, and then we found out that Spirit Week starts September 19th, and then homecoming is the 24th, and the theme is lights, camera, action. So there's that.
I was gonna say I think that's it from the student perspective. So thank you.
Sorry, I'm sure you're also going to talk about this later on, but there's been like a couple problems with physicals, like in sports. I was talking to a lot of like my classmates who are like participating in sports, and we found out that like there's sort of a pattern, like before every first competition or like every first meet that these like teams have been having, there's been a problem with like the physicals getting removed and saying that they're invalid even though they're valid. So we're just like, I just wanted to ask for clarification on that because there's been a lot of confusion and like some teams had to forfeit from their meets because they didn't have a lot of like, or they didn't have enough people to compete. So.
I'll continue. Thank you for being as part of my principal report. I really appreciate it. So I'll continue with the share my screen. All right. So again, I have this quote on pretty much every time I do a presentation. I want to make sure we're referencing back. This is by Dr. Mark Smiley. I always like to research client story. The development of knowledge, skills, and other individual capacities, productive activity, both functional plans, learning opportunities, and functional interaction among group members. Sorry. That's what this has been right here in the previous conversations about how are we supporting our athletes, how are we supporting our programs, and so these are things I want us to focus on and how we can increase that in a bunch of different ways. And I'm excited about some of our conversations about moving forward for instruction, but also in supporting these events for our scholar athletes. Again, I present these every single meeting, so I know you hear it all the time, but the safety and wellness of all our students is the top priority and commitment, providing engaging instruction, social emotional learning opportunities, and equitable access for every single student. And again, being flexible and responsive. We have a situation, for example, with just even getting our young athletes in to be able to compete in February 3rd and 5th. We have to think about that. We have creative people that we can come up with solutions. Continuous work improvement plan, structures for continuous learning, transitions for college. This is college and career persistence and success, and then interventions for our students. So those things you're going to continue to hear. We will be revising those going in towards the end of the year. But you'll have a check-in this year and then one in the spring as well when we talk about these priorities with our CIWP. But some things that we have been focusing on, these are slides actually from our professional development we did with our teachers at the beginning of the year. And I really appreciate a lot of our teachers who are helping work towards line alignment and building some of these structures where it's coming from our teachers to support our students. So there are 3 things that we're talking about. And this is, you're seeing some shifts towards our social emotional learning supports for all of our students and our culture and climate. One of them is IDs and making sure that they are visible at all times and on the student's person. So they arrived, we've got them distributed to our students. They're color-coded based on grade levels. You see our juniors and seniors as they're walking by. JJ, Mr. Mario Johnson, our new youth intervention specialist, almost like a badge, like their VIP pass to be able to go off campus. These are ways in which we can ensure and help support the safety of our students. We are an open campus. We have a mall. It is often very difficult as we know, but these are things that we're continuing to work towards. And so we want to have these also visible in our hallway so we know who is in the school at all times and entering into the schools. This is a start to a process. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. I'll tell you, I'm really impressed by our students and them wearing their IDs. Our teachers are, I think Ms. Crowns, you got yours right there. An example of how IDs are worn. And so these are the practices we want to keep building up. And again, it's really about safety, knowing who's in your building. Substitutes know who's supposed to be there and help us monitor things in a different way that we haven't been able to off campus. Hall pass usage. Again, if we want our students to be safe, supported, and included, we need them included in the classroom. If you're in the halls the whole time, you're not learning. And so our hall passes here. All our teachers have passes. I appreciate the work of our students who helped cut them out, make them in summer. Ms. Walker, Ms. Theus, Mr. Stuckey, their work around that, working with other teachers to make sure we have all these pieces in place. Again, it was like Santa's little helper place in the innovation lab over there as these were being put together. But every class have these passes. I saw them being used today in the hallway. I also saw security saying, where's your hall pass? Go back to your room and get one. And so, again, is this running as smoothly as we want to? Yet, no, but these are new processes and processes that have been established in the past. But through COVID and this, we need to make sure everyone is doing. And again, the importance of having the first and last 10 minutes where we don't have students in the hallway in the passes, it helps us clear the halls. It lets our security do a more effective job. If people are already going to the bathroom, it's hard to clear and say, oh, I got the hall pass, I don't. They can focus. If you're in the hallway, you're not supposed to be there. And these are things that help just improve what we're trying to do. And it's increasing our success of making sure students are where they're at. This is just kind of continuing to it. There are situations, obviously, in which students need to go to a nurse or a counselor or something specific. We also have written passes. We do accept those because if you know they may not come back to your room, you don't want to lose your hall pass. And so those are other situations and we also have set up. And then again, our teachers have been great about these interactions. If it's, hey, I don't see a pass, can you please go back? Our teachers are at their door, hey, you don't have an ID, please go get a temporary. And I've been seeing a lot of positive responses from our teachers. Some other things, just being present and visible. I see the doors open, I see teachers at our door. If you're at the door, you can see the IDs coming right in. Where's your ID? Oh, you need to go get a temp. Hey, classes have started, go back and get the pass. So seeing teachers present is also just welcoming kids. Their first thing is a happy face coming into the room, or it's like, hey, can we talk for a minute? I missed your homework that you didn't turn in Google Classroom. But it gives that opportunity. I know as a teacher standing at a door, it was always important when I could tell if a student maybe wasn't having the best day and needed to just take a little time out before they came in to recenter and come in. But these are things that are just 3 ways in which we're focusing on helping build that learning community as the way we know it can be. So those are some of our SEL pieces we wanted to focus on. So there's several updates I want to make sure that I'm addressing, some from previous conversations and going into this. And I want to go straight to the number one that I'm sure everybody wants an update on. And this deals with our scheduling. As we're looking at scheduling, and I'm giving you an update as it stands right now, we have students in class with no gaps. Do students have every single one of their top preferences? The answer is no. In some ways, if there's a request for an arts class, they may not be able to get it. If they wanted to be in certain classes, they can't. And sometimes there are conflicts that, again, we're talking even with art classes. We went to art classes today and spoke with students about alternative options because some of our art classes are 2-level. So there are some instances when there's conflicts that will not be resolved. We will not be able to, and where a student may not be able to get that class that they are needing. Again, every counselor has been working with their caseload for all of their students for these classes. Again, we today, and this is where you're seeing some of the, we wanted to make sure, and this is something I heard from our last session, was we want to make sure that teachers and our students and our parents have opportunities to be informed on it. An email went to some of our art teachers today. One of our counselors and our programmer went into the art classes that we're going to have some changes to talk to the students directly. We were going to make this active Friday, but the students submitted their alternative choices, and we wanted to make sure that we could look at them and have time, so it won't be active tomorrow, but actually on Monday for those students. There have been some other additional shifts that'll happen for PE. As I talked about, some of the oversized classes, they'll again be active for Friday, and some will be on Monday that our programmer has been working on. She made them active delayed so that she could communicate with students. What you will also see is we do have remaining extremely oversized classes that we can't resolve. AP US History are 2 of them. We can't. I'm meeting with the oversized class committee tomorrow. This is a district CTU CPS committee. I'm meeting with them tomorrow at 9 in the morning. All 3 of the CTU representatives will be involved in that meeting, and we're going to talk about all the classes that are oversized and what potential options there might be from the oversized class committee. This could be potentially a position or a part-time position. This could potentially be overtime OTHs, they're called overtime hours for our teachers, be able to take on an additional class. This could also just be where an individual teacher has oversized classes, but because of the increased number of students, that they get 2 hours of extended day pay for the additional work that it takes for grading and supporting of those students. These are some of the potential options. I don't dictate that. That comes from that committee, and we will discuss those tomorrow and hope to have those quickly resolved by next week based on that response. Again, after we are through this process of getting this year, continuing to move forward and meeting with the oversized class committee, I'm committed to presenting our actions towards next school year with our programmer. So when we get into setting our second semester program, I will give you an update. To tell you it's being scheduled, it's being copied. All right, January, everything from first semester is set for second semester. All students are enrolled. Some students have their schedules changed. Then as we start planning student requests, February, where are we at with this? All students have made requests for all rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Here are the amount of teaching positions, classes we need for all of those classes. This is the grid. Our budget will come across. So these will be the things that I will keep you updated on as an LSC and as a learning community about our process moving forward so that we can have all of our scheduling needs resolved before we go into the summer, and so that we can then fine-tune instead of fine-tuning when the year begins. Not only will our programmer be a part of this process, but we'll have additional members who will be trained so that it's not just on one person, but multiple people who can then respond to any scheduling and programming needs. And so these are things that, again, we will have our primary programmer, but I do need to have other people trained along the way, just in case. And so this is our scheduling update for where we are right now. And I can go through this and come back and answer questions, but I'd like to kind of go through the overall piece, and then I can come back and answer specific questions. I came up, what activities are going on? Well, tomorrow's picture day. And so we will have pictures for all of our students. We're going to have our session in the auditorium, but it's already it's getting set up for when the photographers show up, they go to their station, so we couldn't actually use that space. That's why we're here. And this actually has air conditioning and is a lot nicer. But we have that taking place tomorrow for all our classes. I appreciate the efforts of Ms. Madigan, Ms. Walters. Those are our 2 yearbook teachers who are helping lead this work, as well as the work of others who are helping organize this. Homecoming week, September 19th. These are some of the things that I know were requested. It was requested by a teacher, but also with LSC to make sure we're continually updated. You're going to hear about how to be successful in high school. You've heard curriculum night. Curriculum night is only one component of things for our freshmen, really focusing on the 6-year vision of support for our students. But we want all of our 9th graders to be successful. What does that look like? So this isn't just curriculum, but the big picture of what it means to be a Lincoln Park High School freshman. What does it mean to be successful both academically, social, emotionally? And that's not just encompassed within a curriculum night. So after several iterations of the name, this is, I think, our best version, but it's how to be successful in high school. For ninth graders, it'll be Wednesday, September 21st. Homecoming football game is the 23rd. Homecoming week, like I said, is the 19th. Homecoming dance is the 24th. We are confirmed on our location, correct, Ms. Theus? All right. Our original location had to unbook us because of overcommitting their space, so we have a new space. I appreciate going in overdrive to make sure. It is at the Hyatt, correct? All right. It will be at the Hyatt, and it will give us ample space for our students, and we'll include food and food options for our students as well. Last year we had about 1,000 students, but no food because of all the COVID restrictions. We get to turn it up a little bit more. Open house will be Saturday, November 4th. So if you have 5th, thank you. Saturday, November 5th, part of the committee is here. Thank you very much. For that Saturday, so if anybody is looking for that date or any families are reaching out, is that Saturday. Clubs are forming, and our Clubapalooza will be moving forward as well with that. I know some are trying to make sure we identify sponsors. We also had some of our funding that we originally put forward. We're confident that if we push forward, we will get additional funding to make sure that that happens from the board. There's some different out-of-school time funding options. And so we're making our second appeal for additional funding. At that point, we should be able to have our Clubapalooza. But also, this goes back to some of the comments that I heard before of, hey, what about, it was for our creating some spaces for the music, constructing our professional recording studio. Right now, that's currently in our innovation lab that we developed this year. It's in our vault, has also where Mario Kart and some of our esports are set up for an innovation lab. We do have the music station set up there. But I think what we're really looking to build is like a full soundproof space. That becomes complicated with when we're sometimes using closets for social workers and different things. But we are dedicated to continue to build out this and support the clubs that are associated with it. So I know that was a comment that was made that I want to make sure that I was responding to as well. So moving through, sports is a major area of topic I want to be able to make sure we're touching upon. We have hired a new athletic director. I'm very excited to have the new athletic director aboard. I'm sure Ms. Walker is too, as well as Ms. Theus and the rest of the team and all the coaches. So we're pushing to have a Monday, September 13th start. I can't promise that, but we're very excited to have Mr. O on board with us. He was also the wrestling coach at Lindblom, and has already shared some of the options for us to be able to build out our wrestling program. Even there's programs where you can borrow mats to be able to have these pieces in place, knowing that these are some of the concerns that were coming from the programs. He was already thinking about how can we continue to financially support programs, but also what are the ways in which it doesn't bring out costs from our own school. That, like I said, if we have, let's say, $70,000 for athletics, it only goes so far. We do have goals to try to raise more money as a school for athletics and instructional programs. That's why the LSC has already approved student fees as a school. I know we're a public school, but these are things that sustain us. And the same things go with athletic fees, as well as when we have certain events that would benefit athletics, that we're going to allocate those funds towards it. You will hear later in the budget subcommittee that when we approve our homecoming, the fees towards homecoming, any additional fees will go to athletics. And these will be some ways in which we then can support, like our dance team and other programs as a school, knowing that additional funds will then go to those programs. That also supports our spirit as a school as well. Field trip approvals. I really, I can't thank again Ms. Walker, Ms. Trochet, Ms. Lopez. All of our field trips have been approved. Every time you do an athletic event, it is a field trip. They had everything submitted for the entire season, all the way to potential playoff state. So those are already in the system. And then anytime a coach has requested a bus, then Ms. Trochet has gone to make sure that we find those buses. There are about 18 to 20 different bus companies she's been going through. And when we run out of options because the trip is at 3 o'clock, you sometimes see they're taking M&M limousines. And that's because that becomes our last minute option. They're more expensive. That's not fiscally responsible. I am a part of the district principals, the committee with advisory council, principals advisory council for athletics. And I know these are things that they're considering. How can they support travel for athletic events, knowing that these are things we keep running into? Their funding of an athletic director to be a full-time athletic director is something I really appreciate. It's a smart move by the district to ensure that, one, we can follow through in making sure all the trips are purchased, our trips are aligned, buses are ordered, but also that we can support each team and each coach. Because what comes up with that is eligibility. And when you have someone who, and this is about RAD, I'm talking in general across the district. If you have somebody who is in a part-time position, who's trying to support all athletic programs for a stipend, and then teaching a full load of classes all day, that is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. And so again, seeing the district seeing this need and making an adjustment and funding this position, our new AD will be a full-time AD. He will not be teaching any classes. This will be 100% his responsibility, and working with our administrative team in support. Coming with that is eligibility. And so sometimes what happens is if somebody submits a physical, it's valid for 13 months. And so I can speak personally about reaching out to some families that I submitted this. I know it was submitted. It expired 6 months ago. And so it is not a valid health record. And so those are things that we are required to have, because God forbid something happens that we're unaware of for one of our athletes, and that's on us. Like, we should have been prepared to be able to support that student if we knew they had a health risk. Have an AED machine available. So it is essential that we have these. It is not negotiable. But on Friday, I was with Ms. Theus, our athletic coaches, coordinating Ms. Walker, going through every possible physical to make sure our football team was eligible for Saturday. Again, just because you submit a physical, you still have to practice for 12 days. That is also state requirements. So it's not just about so there's all these pieces that are a part of it, but we went through every single one. And then they suited up on Saturday and beat Gage Park 64-0. And so we're committed to doing this and supporting all of our teams in this way. But please understand, I appreciate your patience. We have to do this right. And what we will be doing moving forward with our AD, before a season even starts, we need every single coach meeting with all of the parents, setting this expectation. No student will practice, step on a field without a physical in their athletic packet. Until that is received, they cannot practice. They are not to be on roster. These are things that we have to do in front of all of this work. And these are new processes district-wide. In that committee, the question came up, it seems like there's more paperwork. It's actually the same paperwork. There's just more accountability to what it looks like. And so I'm excited about where we're going. We're prepping for the winter seasons to do the exact same process to ensure every physical is turned in and every document is turned in with our AD. That's why I'm really pushing them started as soon as possible, and to make sure that we have any vacant positions filled. I know we have a girls basketball position filled. We're accepting resumes at this time. If you know great basketball coaches that want to be a part of this. So I just wanted to make sure you understand kind of that processes that go along with this. And it's something that we're really making a positive shift to ensure the safety, health, and wellness of all of our athletes, scholar athletes. One of the things that was asked is attendance. And I know I'm going through a lot, but these are topics that were brought up that I was asked to be able to speak about. So that's kind of where you're seeing some of these itemized structure to this principal's report. One of those was attendance. We are as we're focusing on bodies of work, attendance has been a critical need of ours. We've known that. Our attendance rate's not where it's supposed to be, and if students aren't in class, guess what? They can't learn. We have amazing teachers, but they are not good enough to send like psychic messages to kids to make them absorb learning if they're not sitting in their classroom. And so what you'll see, these are the structures that are being communicated that are essential that we follow. Dismissals can only take place if there's an in-person pickup. There's this past thinking that a student can somebody can call in and then they can walk out the door. That is not how this works. They have to be checked out by a guardian on their guardian list. And so this is what this looks like. When students become 18 years of age, the guardian still must be notified. We call them, they must know. But it can't just be walking out the door. Same thing with athletic events. Just because the coach says, hey, you have an event taking place does not mean you get to miss class. All teachers need to know with their approval of why that there's an event, what is going on. Some of them do cover all of the events, but there is an awareness and they check out with our attendance office. And again, you can see these pieces right here. 5 tardies equal 1 detention. So there is an accountability structure to this that is moving forward. We're pulling the lists, again, having Ms. Delgado and the team of Delgado, and Diggs, which sounds like a law firm. But that team, having actually four members, including Ms. Martinez, we are now able to really think proactively about this. The IDs are very helpful to help monitor it. Is it perfect? The answer is no. We're still building systems, but I will tell you, when parents are coming through, you no longer go to the main office, you go down to the attendance office. So you'll get a concentrated response in that space. It also allows our main office to be more efficient and effective. But these are essential needs of our students. Again, students and parents will be notified via email, and we will do outreach to those families. And again, we're going to start our supports for our students. I don't necessarily like the word attention, but we're going to be reflecting on why you need to be in class and reviewing academics. And this will also take place with freshmen on track work we're doing, sophomore on track, and other things that I will talk about actually at our next LSC meeting. These are the gajillion terms and acronyms that you hear from me on a regular basis. I've been trying to make sure I'm not used, but I always have this as a map just in case. So I'm just going to go to any questions from the LSC on any of these topics that we'd like me to go back to.
We have lists. Okay, is there going to be a curriculum night for all families?
No, we're focusing on we are focusing on our ninth graders at this point for what it means to be successful in high school. We will have sessions with our students to talk all grade levels. This will happen after 5 weeks, and we'll talk about academics for our sophomores, juniors, and seniors. But these will be more town halls for our students.
Tim, can you hand that mic to him so that we can ask him questions? Can you commit to Clubapalooza by October?
We should be able to have it by October. It was September. Yeah, I'm also getting the nod from the team.
Okay. Somebody online said that their student has lunch at 2:30 and their friends have lunch at 9:30. Why does Lincoln Park think this is acceptable?
We have 2,100 students and we have very small cafeterias. And so we have to spread it out over the course of the day to be able to fit our students in the cafeteria spaces. We have 142 teachers and 142 teachers, 202 total staff members. And at the beginning of the year, we did PD in the cafeteria, and we filled it. So, and that's our main building cafeteria. So just to kind of talk about, off-campus is a requirement for us. If we had to have all 2,100 students in seats, we would not be able to fit.
Is there a policy for the amount of money each athletic team gets?
There is not. About allocation of funds?
Yes.
There is not. We want to be equitable across the board. The district did just grant us something like $19,000 to help support transportation for athletics and some other things. So the board is trying to add additional funding to help support athletics. As we're thinking about our raising of funds, let's say $70,000 through fees to be able to participate who don't require a waiver. We may be able to raise about $70,000. Let's say for homecoming, and I am making this number up, so don't quote me, that's not a budget session. Let's say for homecoming, we end up with $10,000, $15,000 extra. That goes to athletics. We also have, and we approved last LSC meeting, when football games. Well, the good part about winning football games, more people show up. So if we have 1,000 people show up to a football game, it's $5 a ticket, there's $5,000 in fundraiser. It does not go directly to football. It goes to all athletic programs. And so anytime we're doing, like, any ticket sales go to an athletic bucket, not that specific sport. That is not equitable. If football raises $30,000, yet some of the sports where attendance is limited, we can't do that. So all funding from ticket sales will go to this bucket. So this is new. So I would love to say, here's the check for $20,000 to go to nationals, but I think there's ways we can find balance, and it may be something we say, we're committed to a program this year, saying this is what it looks like this year, but next year we can't grant that $20,000 to go to nationals. Next year it's going to be a cap of like 7 or 8 to maybe offset this, while we have to invest in wrestling mats this year that may be a total of $8,900, which actually I think is the cost for those mats.
Okay. Somebody online wants to know if there's going to be a lacrosse team this year.
There should be a lacrosse team. Again, this is where I need the athletic director to be able to help support that. And then we need to review any coaching vacancies that are associated with that. We'll address that at that point.
Okay. Has the main email for the attendance office been created?
It has been created. I know Mr. Hardesty created 2 new email addresses. One is for our attendance, and the other was athletics, because we want to make sure that there is a way to start communicating more effectively with athletics that goes directly to the athletic, not just the athletic director, but also then other people have access to that email account. So it's not just reliant on one person, which is what we're finding is sometimes if it's always one person, if something happens, then there's a breakdown. So we need multiple people who have access to certain emails so we can be more efficient and can better communicators as a school.
And how and when will that be communicated to the community?
The email was just created, I think, like this week. Since our last request, I think it was last week. It was asked yesterday. Thank you. So it's created yesterday. So in our newsletters, we'll be able to start adding those updates.
Okay, perfect. And I didn't see on the attendance portion. What if someone leaves? Is that an automatic detention?
If somebody's skipping class?
No, like just leaves early. Yeah. So I
early
guess
early dismissal. If it's an official early dismissal, it could be. That's not necessarily if you're doing an early dismissal, you're following a process. It may be unexcused.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to lead to any punitive measures.
Okay, I'm done with my question.
And proactive. We want to be proactive, not just punitive.
Have we announced the ticket sales for homecoming?
We need to find the venue to ensure we can cost, but Ms. Theus is here.
Have we announced the ticket sales for homecoming? When do we expect? Okay.
And we don't know the price, or we do?
I don't know if I know we've talked about this before. I don't know if this is part of the principal's report, but we were going to work on the voicemail at the school. It's
So we are actually having an entire overhaul to our phone system as a whole. I'm not saying that going like the maxing out of voicemail. We're actually going to a point where we'll have an increased amount of voicemail options, but also as I've heard on a call, if you call the main office, it's like you got a soliloquy before you actually get to the options. So working with Mr. Hardesty to make that very, very short to tell you directly where to go. But for some reason, if you click attendance, it's looping back to the main office. And so then main office is then forwarding those to attendance to try to, because then they can use those as documentation for students being absent. This is creating all sorts of things, but I actually appreciate those who've been reaching out because I don't call the main office, so I didn't know. And so that being brought to my attention was a way for us to help resolve that. Mr. Hardesty is aware of that. We will also, so the upgrade for our entire system, but also going to be an upgrade for our attendance office so that they have direct phone calls to classrooms as well as external phone calls too.
And then one more thing. I know these might be petty items, but and I don't even know what you call that board outside of the office. It's like a glass display case. I noticed the one outside of the office has names of honor students from 2021. Are those going to be updated? Are things going to be updated throughout the school to reflect current?
Yes. In fact, I'd like to update that entire old board itself, like the glass has fallen out of it. Just like we upgraded the marquee about 2 years ago, where it was the old marquee that kind of just ran things across. Now we have when our jazz team or jazz band competes is at Jazz Fest, you can actually see the images of it. When our dance team is, you can see images of it. So that was a new board that we just put in the summer of 2020. That was one of the first things that we did with the budget was to do that because that's a form of communication with our community. We need to upgrade internally to the building. We have our TVs. We're able to start putting more announcements on that, but outside our board, we have to update and remove any old signage that is up anywhere. Even with clubs now, there's a sign off. Anytime anything needs to be posted, we also need to make sure it's signed off by admin so we don't have just random things everywhere.
Thank you. So just on that last point, what is there a timeline for like taking down old signage or honor students from April 2021? Like, is there a timeline for that?
Yeah, we would like to put up our students from 2022.
Right, but is there a timeline or a
we
goal?
We can have that done at the end of this meeting for the main office. But I think what we want to also think about is how are we effectively putting more things up. But yes, we will get it. We'll get it done this week.
Wait 1 second on that. Mr. Stuckey said those posters outside the main office are 1 year behind because they're from AP tests from last school year. We just got the list of 2022 AP scholars. It's being printed and will be posted soon.
Thank you for that update.
Thank you.
Okay, I had a few questions regarding lunch, and the parent or whoever asked online about 2:30 p.m. And you mentioned the space, and that we're just restricted given just the size of our rooms and whatnot. Has that always been a problem at Lincoln Park?
My understanding, we've been at 2 to 7 lunch. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on that. 2 to 7? 3 to 7? Yeah. So, yeah, so this is to my understanding. There are very few who are in second period. It does fit within the range of time allotted for our students to be able to have. A lot of our second period, it's a smaller group of students. This is part of the students who have some of our IBDP students with like very difficult schedules that they can't fit in other ones. That's where some of the second, we didn't have second at the start of the year, but this was able to fit second. We had second last year and second this year, but not a lot of students have second period lunch.
Okay, so it sounds like it wasn't this way in the past, but it is now.
I can't speak to what it was before here, but so I can look into that to give you the exact.
Okay, I'm just curious, and the reason for the change, just I guess maybe, I don't know, but okay. Next, in terms of the Club-a-Palooza, I know Erica or Rebecca just asked, so when are we going to have that? So does that mean like by September 30th, or does that mean Halloween?
The statement was by October. The request was by October will we have this done? The answer will be yes.
So that means by October means like by October, before the month starts. Okay, great. I noticed dates for the homecoming game and dance. Thanks for those. Is there a homecoming pep rally?
Yes. It'll be the Thursday, I believe right after school, that we will have our pep rally.
Okay.
There's a planning meeting scheduled for tomorrow with several of the people putting that together.
Okay, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we have pep rally, game, dance. Okay, great. And will there be like sort of excitement around the school for that, like signs and all that?
It's all spirit week.
Great.
So there'll be lots of signage, hopefully, and activities, and we'll jump to that for different days.
Okay, great. To clarify on the music production request, it sounded like in response to the student, you said, yes, we're thinking about that, we're working on that, but we have a vision for a bigger build out for that. When is there a timeline for that?
And can we find them space in the meantime?
Yeah, because I'm thinking if I'm the student, where does that leave me?
We can work on space. I'll have to meet with them on it. Right now, they're currently using part of the innovation lab. So there is a space where it's set up. If you go into the innovation lab, into the vault, you can see kind of the mixing. I actually don't know the right terminology for the right stuff, but
Right.
The resources are in the innovation lab. They're often brought out when they have that group meets. So they are using that space. I think what they're looking for is like soundproofing a room, and that becomes more complicated on what that space could look like. And so that's, I think, where we really have to think about what options we have, considering we did a space utilization of our entire building, and we're using like every nook and cranny. So to dedicate a space to be a sound is maybe more complicated.
Yep.
And we're going to require time, and I don't have a timeline for that.
Okay, thank you. It's great to hear we have an athletic director likely starting next week. Just for clarity's sake, because we had a few questions with parents saying, I don't know who to go to, so I'm coming to the LSC to ask. Presumably it would be the AD in the future, or the coach. Is that AD going to be working with a specific assistant principal, or is that responsibility not been defined yet?
Yeah. So I mean, we have an
Or with you, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we have an assistant principal who works directly with the athletic director. Even the plan is when he gets on board, he's going to be working in the office side by side, making sure that all these pieces are put in place. So there will be regular check-ins on a weekly basis, and more often, especially at the very starting point to it. So yes, we will have that regular interactions, and also following up and on all kind of the goals that the AD is also going to be creating for our programs here.
Okay.
A clarifying question, just got clarity on it. It was 4 through 7 in previous years.
Okay. So, and Any reason we can't do that now?
When it was 4 through 7, we would have 400 people in the cafeteria, and so it's a lot of people in the cafeteria. So if we ever have a snow day or where people don't go out and you have 400 people in the cafeteria, part of where we have shifted, and that's not saying it's an excuse we stay this way. I'm okay with it making shifts where we have 400 kids in the cafeteria. One is space. Two, last year was COVID in space. And these are things that, as I've known it here, and it's been working, but our cafeteria is not as overrun with students. When I'm looking at the numbers, it was 452 students in the cafeteria, 405 students in the cafeteria. This is the 1920 school year. That's just a lot of kids in a room. And so I still probably wouldn't advocate for that many to be able to fit our students.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. I mean, I think it's a great. Regarding the voicemail, I guess there are two things. I hear that there's a whole overhaul coming. There was also the outgoing email with the soliloquy up front. Are we able to remove the soliloquy, just change the outbound while they do the big revamp? Or
yeah, Mr. Hardesty is working on that. That was
okay.
Immediately sent that to him. He put in a request to be able to try to make some adjustments.
Okay, and is there a timeline?
There's not. I don't know what that entails. I honestly don't. But Mr. Hardesty is working on it.
Okay. Last question is, you shared some numbers at the beginning around oversizing, or just that these are going to be resolved over the next couple days, which is okay. That's going to be happening. Can you give us any sense of order of magnitude? You mentioned, I guess, two questions. One, so there's oversized class and extremely oversized class, and then two, what's the how many classes? How big a problem is that? Is this just order of magnitude for both of those categories?
Yeah, we have so right now that when you think of oversized classes, each different type of class has a size set by the district. This is part of the new contract. Oh, sorry. This is part of the within the new contract. So general ed classrooms 28, art classes 32, music classes 34, PE classes 40. And so what you see within that, we have 221 classes that are over that amount. That was as Tuesday. That's actually been lowered. That's not our number. Last year we had 135. 1920, which actually that's why I was able to pull up the schedule for 1920. There are 201. So this has been in the 1920. There was still the oversized. 2019 to 2020 was also at 201. And so these are some things that we need to keep working through. I am not saying it's good though. 221, in that 221, we have some extremely oversized classes. And so we have classes of 35. We have classes of 33. That's not acceptable. But we part of the process of what's been going on this week. It was to finalize leveling of that, and the classes for AP and AP US history we can't resolve. They're about 35, 36 each. There's one of I think 37. And while the numbers have been knocked down, we need a resolution. That's why we've pushed that to the oversized class.
Okay, and what's the cutoff for oversized versus extremely oversized?
I don't actually have the form in front of me, but
okay.
there is a breakdown depending on the type of class. So
okay.
It would be like I don't want to misquote myself. So like an art class can be up to like 31, 32 to 37 is not considered oversized. 38 is considered oversized for an art class. This is just the way the document runs. I'm not saying that's the best solution.
Right.
Same thing.
Like it varies by topic.
40 for a wellness class. I think the limit is 46 or 47. And then after that it's extremely oversized. So these are things that we as a school have to really continue to reflect on. 47 is even if that's 45 is okay for a PE class. That's not okay. I'm looking at a wellness teacher right now. I'm looking at an English class where having 33. That's not easy to manage. So those are things that we're again working with the oversized committee and working to whittle down.
Okay, so there are 221 oversized classes now. Correct. These committees are meeting tomorrow. What will the number be after that? Does this resolve all of those?
No, I don't. It will not resolve all of the just oversized. Again, oversized will happen. Like we're going to have oversized classes, extremely oversized classes. we'll have to respond based on the committee and any resolutions that they provide. Some of the oversized classes have already been addressed. Again, they aren't going to be active till Monday or Friday. So if you look in the system, it's still 221. It will show 221 right now. That doesn't mean that's the case. There's already probably about 20 or so classes that are already now lower, but that's where we're at right now.
Okay, thank you.
So I appreciate all this conversation about extracurricular activities and sports and clubs and all of that. As a teacher, I'm going to focus on academics. So when you were hired, Dr. Steinmiller, I know for the last going on 3 years, you committed that our class sizes would not go above 28. And that was your commitment to us. As of Wednesday, there are 38.88% classes that are oversized, including co-op classes with our most vulnerable students with 37 in them. 208 classes are oversized out of 564. 33 teachers out of 124, 26.61% have oversized classes. And that's not 29. The numbers are 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. What happened in the last 2.5 years that this continues to happen? And in the third year of your tenure, why are we here? The most important thing for our students is to feel safe, included, and to have the best academic environment they can have. Teachers are calling me and emailing me saying, I don't want extra money for my 37 kids in that class. I just want to be able to effectively teach my students. And we know that this oversized committee tomorrow is not going to solve the problem. And I think they're really going to walk away saying, there's oversized and then there's this. And it takes time. So my two questions are then, why has this happened the third year in a row? Because it is impacting us negatively. And second, what are we going to do moving forward? Because this problem isn't going to be solved. It just isn't. So this year, we're going to have classes of 37 kids, and there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. Why?
Last Thursday, we had a meeting to discuss this, and I presented the same thing, and I will say the exact same thing from that session, because that's what that topic was. And I thought the intention of having that meeting was to address the why, and we did at that meeting. Again, we hired a programmer who was hired to put together our schedule for the year. That was their dedicated position. That's what we discussed as an LSC. We limited any additional responsibilities so we could focus on that. That person left over the course of the summer. Now, that person left over the course of the summer, immediately went to hire a new programmer. We brought that person on board. We were then to be able, exactly what I explained last week, the timeline then is off. We brought that person on to be able to address the needs of trying to get the schedule completed in time. There were delays. I communicated with our district and our network on that. We were able to get additional supports brought in, especially as we got closer to the start of the school year. It was extremely frustrating. It's the last thing that I wanted. That was the intent of what that position was all about. The big point is we have to keep moving forward of what this looks like. Again, what I just stated, I'm checking in with the LSC every single month to talk about our progress going into next year. I'm making sure that it's not just a single programmer, but there are other people who know these processes. As an LSC, you can expect a check-in and understanding. You will help progress monitor to make sure that we get to that point as well. Because it is an important process. I walk into classes and I see our teachers doing amazing things. What I'm doing is I'm looking in and saying, all right, there's 34 students in class. This is not the ideal situation for this teacher. This is frustrating for a teacher. I totally understand that, and I don't want that to be the experience. Now, what we're talking about for tomorrow is to address the extremely oversized, which is primarily our U.S. history classes. And then we're going through any other classes that are in that fit in that scenario. And so then we'll work with that committee, and that's for the short term. But then moving forward, you'll hear me checking in every LSC meeting. Even if there's not anything to deal with it, it's going to be, here's the plan that we've developed with our counselors, with our programmer, and additional people who are going to be a part of this process. You will know then, look, in February and March, 100% of our students have their requests in. Here's what we need. This is what we need as an LSC. By the time we get to May, what does our matrix and our grid look like? What are the potential problems? How do we resolve that? How do we get to where we have only 130? There will be oversized classes that go above 28, but they shouldn't go above that oversized level, and we have to get to that point. We had that happen. Again, those happened in previous years, but that doesn't make it okay this year either. And so that's how we're going to focus, continue to move forward, and that's what we're dedicated to doing. You're going to hear every single LSC meeting.
Thanks. The second question is, can you commit to a turnaround time in responding to emails, both from faculty and parents? 24 hours, 48 hours. I think the communication is a problem when I'm hearing that teachers and parents are not being responded to after numerous attempts emailing you.
Hours is the go-to for us to be able to respond. Obviously, there are unique situations that do come up, but that's what we're striving. I will continue to strive for.
48 hours.
That's what
Okay, we're going to get you. I just have one quick question. Do you think the 28 classroom size promise made 3 years ago is realistic?
So 28 is part of our contract. That's what we need to strive towards. I'm going to continue to say we're going to strive towards 28. Knowing more about our school and the realistic nature of it, if there was more than 28 before I was here, there's a lot of reasons for it. 28, I would love to see every single class that way. I would love to see, again, to have only 135 last year was a stride of seeing reduced classes. But it's also making sure that I want to see the right amount for all classes. So we're not maybe dumping additional classes in wellness classes to be able to offset and have smaller classes elsewhere, because they're a department that's on equal par with every other department. There's things that we have to do for every single one of our groups. So this will be I will say next year, we will not have I think we'll have to work with the oversized committee. We'll strive for 28. We're going to strive for those maxes every single time. Like that's part of what the contract is designed for. Each school is unique. Each school has its own complications. Yeah, we have 80 to 90 standalone single classes. If we have 34 students signed up for that standalone class, we have our teachers who say, I want all the students to be able to access my class. We've done that for IBDP for years. So we will not be able to hit 28 for those specific classes, because if you have 29, 30, that's now oversized. We're going to say no to students going through the DP program for certain reasons. Those are things that will come up through our unique programs.
So just one quick thing before I pass it to Laith. I want to just clarify that as a school that strives to be student-centric, that we're talking about leveling and oversized classes, which is a quantitative question. We have to remember, too, that there's a qualitative element here where many students were deprived of taking classes they chose because the programming was not available, even though it was supposed to be. So there's an impact bigger here than the quantitative, but qualitatively, students are now in classes they don't want to be in. So I want that clear. Yeah, that's not a good fit for them. So that's just important we realize that the negative impact on students. And in terms of turning this around for next year, I appreciate the monthly reporting, but that won't be useful without a plan of milestones of where we should be each month. So what I'd like to request for next month is, as we begin to report on the plan for next year, we say, here's where we should be to be on track, our target, and here's our actual, here's where we are, so that we can see if there's a gap or if we know that the train is running on time. Is that something that by next month would be possible? Or
ceremony takes place or any question on
Okay, great. I think that would be helpful. And I think for us as a community and certainly us as an LSC to be able to understand not just the goal, but the tracking to get there. Because without that, it's an idea. The idea of having to, last Friday, I appreciate getting all the physicals and all the forms in so the team could play. But obviously that shouldn't be happening the night before a game. Like that should be planned out in advance. And so I think what we need is to see visibility into what's coming on the horizon and then how are we doing against those things. And I think just to start specifically with the programming for next year, having that plan, that would be really helpful. Okay, thanks. Lath?
Thank you. The students had 2 more concerns that we wanted to bring up. Firstly, a lot of students feel like the hall passes are not sanitary. Miss O'Neill, we were talking to people during my gym class, and just a lot of people think in general that like these aren't sanitary. So are we making sure that teachers wipe them down, or is there any procedure? Because we don't want to be spreading germs after like all this COVID stuff. It's hopefully. Yeah, it's usually on a lanyard, or yeah, most of them are on like a lanyard or a rope or something like that. Okay, and then second, last year we discussed replacing the flags that are in the hallway, and Dr. Steinmiller, I was just wondering if we could get an update on that.
every time I walk down to the business office, but I know where we are. I know it's anyway. But I also want to have the next
Okay, thank you. And now I want to pass the mic over to Alexa.
I'm sorry, so what's the resolution on that? Like, is there a timeline?
There's not. The companies we get from will have to be smaller for some smaller flags, but this is something that I just want to have all, even if it's just the Amazon version, if it's not the nice version for all the flags, that's the not nice version, but I'm trying to get the nice version. Certain countries, not all companies make all flags. They not all recognized, especially some of the flags that we are trying to get.
Okay, so we should just wait until it happens. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and just like another quick question regarding the flags, is it necessary for it to all come from the same company, or can we get like different flags from different companies? Because I know you said that like not one company has like all of the flags. So I'm just wondering.
And would you be open to families who have ties to different countries to donate flags? And do they have to be a certain size? Yeah, no, I get it. So, will you get me those measurements? Okay.
And then I wanted to bring something else up. So regarding lunch, you said there was a second period lunch. Okay, so yeah. So is there like a way where we can like figure out another space where students can have lunch, like maybe the auditorium or the library, maybe? Or not only for second period, but like maybe third period as well, because I know in past years we've only had like 4th to 7th. So I wanted to see if it was possible for us maybe to like get back on that schedule, because third period is too early, and for the people who go off campus to get lunch, they can't get anything because mostly everything's closed. So yeah, it was just.
Let's think about additional options. I'm not saying that I hate it. I just made it talk about what it could look like for our students. Yeah. So if we want to try to move forward in that
But like, just so we know for sure, like, do we think that the auditorium is like an acceptable place for lunch?
It's on. So I just have one concern. With the scheduling being my highest issue, with my daughter having hers jilted, and now that she's actually in the schedule that she should be in, the class that she should be, I just want to make sure she's guaranteed to stay in those, and that with everything that's going on, she doesn't get jilted because the program she's in now, those are the requirements. She needs to be there. She's a junior, so I just don't want her classes to get mixed up again, and she's getting kicked out and trying to get back in. And again, she's a junior, so I'm just making sure. Like, I want to know, are her guarantees that she's safe to stay where she's at? Because right now her schedule is good. Since the switch up, she's good. So I just want to guarantee that we're not gonna have issue with my daughter's schedule. You know. Okay.
And then we'll get this to you.
Make sure it's turned on.
Yeah, you can hear me now? Okay, I'll be brief as I can, but I just want to cover, like Dave said, it was a great opportunity for me to speak now. Some of the oversized classes, they always forget about, I'm a special ed assistant, I'm a seeker. We're never added into that piece of the classroom. And I just want to say, we are in the classroom. We are assisting the teachers. We are doing small group. We are assisting all the students, not just the assigned student that we are with. And I really think with what's going on now, I just want to say to all of the seekers, good work. Also, like he said today in gym, I was out there with them. I didn't have to go outside with them. I was in a Lincoln Park shirt with shorts on today, if anybody remember me today, right? So I changed for this meeting. I dress like that so that I can go outside with our students and participate with them. And while we were out there, that's when students brought up the past. They write, maybe we can just wipe it off. And also, that we can give them the paper pass that the teachers that you all give them, the little yellow ones, and that would eliminate some of those germs as well. I also want to speak on security. I've been here since 2015. Um, this is the first year where the 10 minutes, you shouldn't be in there, you shouldn't be out in the hallways the first 10 minutes or the last. I think it's a great concept because that way we know who is in this building. So for me, I feel secure working here. I hope a lot of our students do. They tell me that. Also, I was in a classroom yesterday. I'm not going to say what classroom, but the teacher told me, Miss O'Neill, I need 4 desks. When I left that classroom, I went to the AP, Mr. Stuckey. I said, this teacher needs 4 desks. He said 4. He got right on it. I went in that classroom this morning, first period. I looked around. I saw them desks. I looked at the teacher. I said, you got them desks? She said, yes. Thank you, Miss O'Neill. So I just want to say, through everything, there's always something good. You all know I'm going to say that. I'm always going to say that. And because we're not perfect people. I'm not. But I think Lincoln Park is a wonderful school. And we can be great. We can be better. And teachers need what they need, Dr. Steinmiller. But we all have to work together. I'm not going to be a part of the problem and not the solution. Them students needed their ID cards. I was in there helping them. The student that I'm assigned to did not come that day. I did not hide myself. I went, I asked administration, what do y'all need? It was y'all IDs. Y'all got them, right? So those are the good things. As far as the buses, I was outside yesterday. I'm at the gate. If anybody know me, I'm outside. I'm telling the students, have a good day. I got this key. I'm opening the gate for staff because I could sit in this building as a seeker as a special ed assistant and just wait on my 15 minutes. But I want to be outside. How do we get to know our staff and our teachers if we're not just there for one another? And I'm going to tell you, I see a lot being at their gate and telling people hi and bye, and the students. And yesterday, that big black bus pulled up outside to take our team. They were going on a competition. And I asked Mr. Stuckey, ooh, what is that bus? It looked like a limo. And I'm going to tell you, he said, come on, Miss O'Neill. We walked to that bus. It was packed with students. It was air conditioned. It had music going in there. I mean, really. And I say, I didn't have this in high school, and I came out in the 80s. So I'm looking at the bus, and then the bus driver had to take everything off the bus, the students' bags, and put them in the back to make more room for them. Those students, their faces. You should have saw them. I mean, I can't explain it, but ask the students. So I just want to say, whatever happens here, whatever problems there are, I'm going to come in here every day, and you all know me. I'm going to hit the ground running, and like Dr. Steinmiller say, I speak to everybody. If you don't speak to me, that's fine. Well, God forgive me. Some people I may not speak to, but that's because I got to be better. Maybe you did something to me or I did something to you. I'm being honest. But overall, we just have to do what we have to do in Lincoln Park. I love working here. I've worked at a number of schools. Trust me, before I came here, I told my family, I got to go to Lincoln Park. I got to leave the South Side. I've been working with these children. And my brother, who's a doctor and a minister, said, wherever you go, there are kids that you can help. And I'm going to tell you all, it's the truth. It's the truth. So that's what we need to do every day for these students. And you're right. Don't I be in gym with you all? You all know me. And we're telling all the other students in the school, if you on there, you parents, send your kids to the LSC meeting. Get them on Student Voice. Let them say what they need. Right, young lady? You all know Miss O'Neill. You know, and like I said, and I said when I got on LSC, everybody is somebody. So thank you all. And we're going to get the work done on this committee. And for all of you all, thank you all for being here.
It's hard to follow that act. So a lot of the questions I had they've already been asked. But as far as the thing with the 28 students, does that require more teachers, more classrooms, or what does that really require?
I think that's kind of, yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's a mix of everything. What we just need to focus on is like, what are the classes that are being offered? We need to think deeply and thoughtfully about the location, the placement of it, make sure they're balanced. And these are, again, things that we'll present out and hear from the plan that I know that Mr. Tolmers was requesting, that we can talk through them. What does that look like as checkpoints throughout the year to be able to find a more balanced and level course offerings.
And then this meeting with the oversized committee. I mean, what's the real expectation with this?
Again, they've been going to a variety of schools. Again, there are other schools I know that have received 4 positions. They've received different things. Like this isn't abnormal for a lot of schools to have to address oversized leveling. There are leveling sessions that are being provided by Phil Jackson for all schools across the district where they're checking in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's updates to what that looks like. That's taking place at a number of schools. We don't need at that level. We know what our need is, and that's why we've escalated to this committee. Again, this is a new process within the contract. This is a new contract in the last 2 to 3 years, and this is a way to actually help reinforce class sizes. Because you can put a number in the contract, but this is a way to actually help with it. It's a joint effort between CTU and CPS to help resolve this district-wide. So
is this committee providing more funding to the school?
They're going to look at the situation and look at that at an individual situation, get a response. It's their responses. But depending on the type of response, that's what I'm going to advocate for. Look at the number of classes we have, the increased number of 10th graders we have. This is a way to resolve it. I'm going to present what I think could be some solutions, but they'll make the final determination.
And then as far as the lunch situation, I was kind of thinking along the same lines as she was. Are students able to eat in other locations? Maybe not the auditorium, but other, like in the career place, or some of these other places, or even in the hallway. I don't know. Do they have little tables?
So when we think about spaces, we have to supervise students. students. And so like, we have the beautiful options of outside where we have supervision, where we have the hill, we have in the last 2 years we put like spaces for students to eat outside. This is great when it's wonderful weather.
Right.
We also have our courtyards in both buildings that we've been able to. The difficulty with, again, hallways or any spaces that we're not monitoring, especially in the building, kids who eat in the hall, who's supervising them and how's it being cleaned up? And those just become difficulties. So again, cafeteria spaces and other spaces we can monitor. Again, we have to supervise. We just can't have kids in the hall wherever they want. That's defeating our purpose of the hall passes and all the other work we're trying to do. Because then, oh, I'm just at lunch. Oh, I'm just at lunch. Oh, I'm just at lunch. It doesn't. Halls are clear. So it's going to be the cafeteria spaces, off campus with permission, outside areas, outside seating areas around the building. Then we do have the 2 courtyards. And then I know some teachers who open up their classrooms for students to come in on a regular basis. I see 2 teachers right here. I know you have students in your rooms all the time. And those are things that teachers do independently. That isn't a school-wide initiative. That's just teachers being teachers.
Right. And then is the off-campus lunch, would that extending that to the sophomores, is that an option?
So those are things we're considering as incentives for our sophomores and potential freshmen. But right now, we need to make sure our juniors and seniors are meeting that expectation. It's also reinforcing IDs.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, the second period and third period lunch is not good. That's a bad idea.
Okay, so I want to be super clear. On Monday, students in the 221, which is now less, classes are going to, some of them will be moved to other classes in the same period, and so that the entire schedule does not change, correct?
Yeah, that is what we've been prioritizing. I can't say that's every situation, but I'll give you an example of it. Within the art class, we had 10 students within an AP art class that we were able to combine with another AP art class. It was 10, 11 students. That first period opens then up though a primary level art class, like an art 1, that other art students who have higher classes can go directly in without disrupting that. That's been our goal in strategic planning about the classes we're putting in place. It's not every scenario. There will be students who have class changes to be able to fit their same schedules and primarily, hopefully, with the same teachers as well.
Is the sign out for absences an LP or CPS policy? This is from a person online.
We're following board policies on monitoring and supporting of our students as they're checking in and out. They've gone to trainings on this. They know exactly what they are. But again, while students are here, we are their parents. So until a parent or guardian releases us from that responsibility, they're here. So we're not letting that is a part of the structure.
Okay. For the $50 homecoming ticket, that's going to be paid through Aspen?
Yeah, how we've done this in the past for any big, like high funding things like $50, we'll do a survey to see who's interested in going. Then they add to their account the $50 charge fee, just like we've done in the past.
So it's going to be a charge fee, and what if they don't have the funds to pay it?
Then at a certain date in which you can only pay it once the payment's not made and we need to move forward with the allocation of tickets, then that fee will be removed, but they will no longer be on the list to be able to attend.
Okay. Does somebody have a question?
Yeah, just very, very quickly. Returning to the programming, is there any piece of this that you see being able to communicate effectively to, let's say, higher authority like state representation? Like we have Ms. Gold, who was in the room. Oh, there she is. Who's representing Senator Feinholz at the state level. Are you aware of anything that you'd be able to communicate as you start making these milestones for improvements, things that were missed because of undercounting enrollment or needing more budget, whatever that would be? Would you be able to identify those things so that we could be reaching out to advocates who would be able to effectively help that kind of as a more proactive thing to make sure that we're continuing to solve it moving into the next years.
Yeah, I know there are conversations around the model of student-based budgeting. So we're a student-based budgeting model where it's around number of students, and that's how much funding you get. Again, different districts have different manners of going about it. Some do allocations of how many teachers. You have this many positions needed, the district allocates it. Our district is in this model, and I know there's conversations. I'm not in those conversations, so I can't speak to it. There's pros and cons of both. It gives more flexibility to the individual school, but then certain schools, sometimes it makes it more difficult when you actually have less flexibility. But then some schools can navigate that differently. You know, I can say that about our budget, 100% of our 99.9% goes to staffing and benefits. Like that's why we have fees. So would I love to have $5 million more? We have about a $20 million budget. 16 we can actually control because of quotas that I'll talk about later with budgeting. But yeah, would I love to have 25 million because then we could do a whole lot more with it. So I can always say we need more funding. I think every school in the district and outside of our district could easily say that. I would definitely always request and want more. And I think I'd be curious to as they're reflecting on the model of it, what that could look like to help reinforce things. The example is the athletic director position. We would have never afforded that if it was not given to us this year. You know, and there's certain positions that we are given that we have in place because they're secured and safe. Case manager is another example. That's a quota position. So we have a full-time case manager because the board is funding that position. So I think there are some shifts that are starting to take place for those critical positions at each school. We have 3 social workers entirely funded by the board. We had 2. They added another because of our minutes. So I think that may be the leveraging point. If you really want to say, how do we kind of push some leverage? It's what are the critical needs are at specific schools that can be funded through quoted positions that aren't included in student-based budgeting that then would offset options and ultimately then allow us to dedicate more of our school-based budgeting to the needs of positions at the school, be it teaching, social emotional. Again, we're funding, like for example, our student support advocate and our youth intervention specialist. Those are 3 SEL positions as well as 142 teaching positions, but that includes some of our LBS 1 quoted positions as well. But we have a big staff. We have a big school. So yeah.
Ms. Kaler. In terms of the history department, we had a few positions that teachers that left, and those positions or that half-time position coupled with, and we talked about this in the PPLC and the LSC, some of your decisions for these release periods separate from IB casts and things like that probably mean nothing to anybody, but we have historically done at Lincoln Park. I think that one of the problems is that, with these release periods and with not hiring enough people or filling those positions, we're short, right, in the history department. So a lot of those decisions that were made, I think, by the administration. And so it's not that population has changed. I think it's that the decisions that this admin made to give more release times and to not hire another position put us in this, that was a contributing factor to this situation. So I think moving forward, I've sat down with where we've crunched numbers with some colleagues and on the PPLC, we would love to meet and say, this is what we could solve some of these problems. You could make, I think, probably, and of course you're the leader, make decisions in terms of some of those release periods that have put us in this situation. I don't know if you can do it now, but it could release some of that pressure that we're feeling inside the classrooms. So we're willing to sit down in a constructive way and say, this is what we see, this is what we're looking at, what what are you going to do about it, or how can we move forward together? I just hear a lot of things going on. It's not why it's happening. They're just the truth has to, the facts just have to be presented.
Okay, are you done with your report? Okay, next up, student reports. Amy wanted me to tell you that the admin team part of student life met, and next week they're going to be talking about class boards like president, vice president, or student council, and clubs. And that's it. You guys have anything else you want to say? Okay.
I had a question. I remember last year the topic of National Honor Society came up. Is there a plan to, I don't know, reestablish or do whatever needs to be done?
We just need a teacher to come forward. Is that right? We need a teacher to come forward to sponsor the club. So we need a teacher to come forward to sponsor the club. They will get paid, and our charter's been paid. We're just ready for someone to step forward and lead that group with pay. Is that it? Anything else, Peter? Okay, PPLC.
Oh, well, Dr. Steinmiller, I'll let you speak to that, right? Because we're going to have a new election. You reached out to me last night, and we're going to meet on Monday. Yeah. Yeah.
PLCs have to be elected every year, determining the number of people will be a part of the PLC. The only people who are PP2 LSC reps are global facilitators of the PLC, but the determination of the number will be determined in this meeting to have your overall board. So you and I will go over that to the same structure we've done in the past.
Which probably is a good segue into LSC.
Just on PPLC, block scheduling was a big topic at the end of last year, and I'm just curious for an update on that.
Yeah, we got to fix the scheduling.
We delayed PPLC delayed the block scheduling conversation because of the scheduling issues we had there. It is my belief that we're still going to have those problems, but just maybe even bigger problem with block scheduling. And so at least that part,
I would love for that to happen, and we need trust in leadership and administration, and we don't have that, and we are off to another rocky start. And so it's going to be really, really difficult to convince the faculty to make huge changes when so many people on our faculty do not feel supported. And it's a challenge.
Okay, LSC subcommittees, you have all received an email from me with everybody hopefully on at least 2 subcommittees. I'm adding Ms. Hernandez budget, and I'm adding Mr. Smith's student money. And then we have budget subcommittee. We met this week.
So within there were specific budget so we have for one is obviously the homecoming, these are all presented. You guys presented the budget committee, all the members that consist of it, everything was approved as a group moving forward. So we say as a group, we vetted it as that subcommittee. One of them was that slide 23 homecoming fundraiser. Ultimately, we're adding on the homecoming, but any additional funds go to that fund. So that was ultimately a determination that raise their income, so that we don't have to turn use the funds until a later time. At that point, we'll require LSC approval to determine how. Let's say 20 grand, they go to that level or go to this. But we can do that at a later point in time, so we can prepare to respond to that available option. The budget, there's a budget amendment. We showed all the budget transfers, some that require LSC approval, some that did not. The ones that we are focusing on, sorry, this is sideways. Funds to replenish our miscellaneous bucket for position that we have. It's $25,000 is something that we do miscellaneous positions for a variety of recruitment at our school. That was one. And then the other was the total Saturday or Sunday options for our teachers. These are about putting things in line with the rate that we require LSC approval, but they're things that we do to have some function and are not outside of our normal requests. The final thing was to increase expenditure amount for principal approval. It's $2,500 does not require LSC approval. A lot of it costs more than that. I present every transfer, everything that goes to that anyway. It allows us to we raise up $10,000 amount of flexibility to be able to actually response it. Things that we've done in the past. So that was the important thing that we asked to be able to be approved. So we agreed to all of these and
I make a motion that we recommendation of the budget committee and approve the items.
Just a question, I know that I didn't. When he to give you 10,000, does that mean you don't have to go through us? Oh, does that mean really? Wow. Does that mean you you have $10,000 that you don't need our approval? That means you can essentially spend it on where you see fit. Is that what that means? I don't know.
Yeah, so it means if there is a request for, let's say, a series of novels that go up to $4,000, we can purchase those
without.
I would still present it to the subcommittee even after. I can make the purchase right then, so we can move the funds. Otherwise, we have to wait till the next LSC meeting. So that's another, let's say, 2 to 3 week delay until an LSC meeting, or we have to have a special meeting to be able to just do those approvals. It's up to 10. Anything above $10,000 requires 3 quotes anyway, and should go to the LSC to talk about which options we're going through, depending on the purchase. But yeah, this is things tend to cost more than $2,500. Just it's $10,000 has been the capacity.
With the pool rental on the weekends, are the sports teams allowed to practice on the weekends or use the facility?
So weekend use, there's a couple of things, and this is where I really want to talk to the AD. So I don't really want to address weekend usage until I can talk to the athletic director about it. There are pros and cons to weekend use. One thing I will, and I don't want to speak for security, they can speak for themselves, but we were burning them out. I'm saying some people were open to it and are still open to it. I'm not saying that, but we have to be careful of not burning out our custodians and our security by overdoing additional events. There are times in which we do need to open up on Saturday for specific things, and I want to make sure we're able to do that on those occasions. But this is something that's really going to require the feedback of the AD, and I do not feel it's appropriate to respond without engaging the AD in that process. When you have these groups, though, that use the weekend, they provide funding as well as for their events. They will provide their security and funding that goes associated with those events. But that's part of that rental. That's part of the rental. But it's part of that rental.
They will use our custodians and security or their own?
There are multiple options for it. What's that? No, anytime we rent out any of our facilities, our teams and groups always have priority over those groups. If Chicago Sports and Social, for example, they tend to usually start like at 7:30, and when they have all the schedules, and if there's any event, they won't play on those days. I have not seen it in action here. That's why I want an AD. We really want to discuss what that could look like, but there is a lot of financial opportunities that come from it, and I want to be prepared to invest to go into those conversations.
And then in terms of opening the school later for sports, say during the week and on the weekends, is that something that we'll have a discussion directly with the AD? Will you have a discussion with the AD?
Absolutely, and I think those are, since we do have security that's already staying pretty much to 6:30 every day, I'm not counting game days. And those are conversations that if somebody's already staying late on a weekday, that may be a better option than coming in for 3 hours on a Saturday or 2 hours on a Saturday. So these are things, again, I just want to engage the AD in, and we'll talk through that with that person.
Dr. Steinmiller, doesn't an administrator have to be here and the AD isn't? So it's not, I mean, if the AD is here and it's open on the weekends, doesn't an administrator have to be in the building?
Yeah, an administrator has to be in the building. Have to have a type 75 and has to be in the building when students are present in the building.
Right. So it's not just about the AD being able to do it, but then an administrator would have to commit to coming in on the weekends.
Yeah, you have to have security, you have to have custodians, you have to have an engineer, and you have to have a type 75. So there's the 4 variables.
Actually, anyone with a type 75 will come in as an admin in charge.
So someone like me that has a 75.
I see LSC relations raising hands.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add, so I'm on the swim team, and what I was told, like we were affected by pool rentals, in the like very beginning of the season. So like we usually would start like our conditioning mid-August, like a lot of the other sports teams, but we weren't able to because of the pool rentals, or at least that's what I was told. And so we got a late start in practicing, and like a lot of people weren't prepared for tryouts. I just wanted to add that.
Okay, I have a motion on, I made a motion to approve budget committee's recommendations for those 4 items.
Those are the 4 items. There's one other item that's not a part of it. That was actually not shared, but those 4 items.
Second or
A second.
all in favor?
I'm in favor. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, you are. Okay.
That's
There was one more that was supposed to be too late, and this was more technology for IMAX to go to. This will support in the library, additional IMAX spaces for research, but also then for hearing other programs to use. I know that was fun. We've been raising for technology for that a lot. So it was to have.
Is for 20 IMAX into the library, using the cell tower funding to be able to make this purchase. I'm actually looking at the number, but this was requested after the budgetary committee, so they did not have that proposal beforehand, and so this is a separate item that didn't go through the budget committee. Yes. Mr. Hardesty put together this proposal. It's part of the over long-term plan, but since the board is covering all of the Chromebooks for all of our students, that the funds would go towards increasing IMAX for the school.
I make the motion to approve buying the IMAX using the cell tower proceeds.
Dr. Steinmiller, yeah. In terms of, and I don't know if this has something to do with that. The room, what is it, on the second floor that has all that new technology in there. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's almost like a mixed, like 219. What is that room in terms of that equipment? Because I think we spend a lot of money for it, and I'm not sure if this was under your, but do we use it? What is it used for? Because I was thinking of the the individual, that student that was talking about the music mixing board and so on and so forth. And then the yearbook situation. I'm just wondering, should we spend more money when I'm not quite sure what that equipment can be used for?
Yeah, that room is, so this is just about individual computers. Referring to 219, it was set up, it was before I was here, but it's set up to be a long distance learning room. So it has specific cameras that can actually engage with classes taking place in Japan or across the globe. So that's all the tech in there is really designed towards that, but not necessarily individual experiences, but more of an interactive experience. So that's why it has the smart board and then surround. We are actually trying to get that live because it really hasn't been functioned for that purpose. But right now, our digital media class is using the space for art. It's right next to also a full lab. So a lot of those courses around digital media are associated with that room. And there is I believe there is I don't want to be misquoted on this though, some computers that are dedicated to the art program that they're using specifically there. I believe they're also in that space. But this is, again, full-blown iMacs that are with larger screens to be able to do the interact. It's a different, we don't really have a lab set up for that type of work.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we need a second. I'll second. All in favor? Okay, right, we already covered it, right? Okay, community relations. Anything?
I just found out I'm on community relations.
Welcome.
So I have not actually with the subcommittee yet, so I have not to report.
Okay, for next, school delegation, we are going to meet soon, to elect a chair and come up with a timeline and move forward. And also identify additional parameters if we have any to add to already the, yeah. Let's go through it, check this out this way. Communications, a letter to the community is going to go out about opening a school. It's going to go to teachers and staff and the community. We just have to approve that, and have you all received it in your inbox from me? Okay. So I make a motion that letter is approved and is sent out tomorrow to teachers, staff, and community members. I second it. Okay, and I'm going to fix that one still here. So before it's announced.
So this is referring to the letter after our closed session that okay, just to let staff understand and teachers that we were working really hard on getting that out, and there were some hiccups along the way. So thank you.
All in favor? Facilities.
No, I regularly check in with Christian Nixon, who is our chief engineer. And so we have a check-in set as teachers or any staff members are putting facilities requests, because there's a form that's on our LPHS website page. It's the way in which we can respond to those, and I can also progress under that facility to address. Some of the things we are looking at is getting an air conditioning, for example, to the counseling spaces. That's not a purely temporary solution, but other things that we're looking at is sort of great example of general facilities, which allows us to progress under that building.
Here we've got item number 14, LSC teacher rep vacancy.
LSC teacher rep vacancy, there is a process that we work with LSC relations to make sure that LSC relations is here, so it's going to help in this process. But it's my understanding that teachers that would like to be on the LSC is create some general vacancy. The recommendation is that they come to the board for that person to there is let's say, coach is the word election, in which nomination, that people indicate who they would nominate for this, and that nomination then is referred to the board for final approval. So it's not just an election being that person on the left, the board has to confirm. So that who's the board? It's Chicago schools. It's not that it is that election is the final step. That is a recommendation for that individual that next to us.
Why is that?
That's the manual. That's
Yeah, I was looking through that, and it said that there should just be an election if there's an opening.
Yeah, that's the full process. So that election is one step of the situational process. The recommendation to the board. The board makes the final. That's the process. That was the process in the last one.
Oh, was it?
So, again, the tally, you see the tally of each individual, that recommendation that is to the board.
Okay, so go through the process then in terms of timing. When am I going to get somebody else waiting?
Ideally, we would try to have somebody recommend for the next board's CPS school board meeting. So that is when that person.
When is that? But who recommends? What do you mean?
So we need to have an election prior to the next CPS board meeting, so that we can have a recommendation referred to them. That will determine what the next place. I don't know when that meeting is. I can't.
Based on wins, and then we say we would like this person. Right. So we have an election, person is elected based on the teachers, and then that will go to the board and they approve it.
And once they approve that, then that person is stamped as an LSC. So, for example, if their board meeting is after our next meeting, LSC meeting, it would not be. We want to move this as quickly as humanly possible, but we need to do it that timeline and goal will be that next board meeting. Plus, the next board meeting is like tomorrow. Okay. That's the end of the month.
So can we do the next couple of weeks of election and send it?
Yeah, we'll work also to just get all those together.
That's your job though, right? Or the ending for us? I thought it was cool, so we can make sure it's getting done. Yes.
That is your process, so that's taking that you want the election in last April. Then you select that teacher, the safety, the form, the statement of how the community was right, school community, why they were the
So I have a forum.
is the same
process.
And then the principal will send the report of people who run, and then we are the ones who send that.
Okay. When you guys start PLC, we lay this out on Monday.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. You're gonna have to be on this because I leave my phone died. We're going to reserve public participation. Does anybody here want to speak? I know there's a hand raised.
I see one hand raised.
There's a good
Oh, you're in person.
Yeah. So wait a minute. Here for me.
Oh, hi, my name is Unsil Wang, and I am a sophomore, and I am new to Lincoln Park, and I just want to echo what Sabrina said about, the first LSC meeting I did attend, and it was very jarring, and I have to compliment you guys for the meeting today because this was much better, much helpful. It made me feel more confident about the school, so I really do appreciate it. One of the questions I had, Mr. Steinmiller, is I know there's been questions about, email responses and 48 turnaround time. Having worked in the corporate environment, I recall getting very, just get swallowed up with all these emails. So I am wondering, while, you want to commit to turnaround, and I think it's a valid point that you make, it needs to be responded to. And I've sent emails and it would take a week, which is, whatever, there's a lot of people, a lot of students, and our school needs a lot of support. So when you say, okay, 48-hour commitment, is that really realistic, and what kind of support do you have to meet those requirements? Do you have the support so that people do get responses? Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I can fill up individually, but public participation actually isn't, we're not supposed to respond to it
Yep.
at the time of it, but I can talk to you.
okay. Who's online?
Next is Vicky Camarena. So I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your name right, but I am.
Well, it's me. Hello. Hi. I didn't think you guys were going to get to me. I had my hand up for a while. Thank you. I was just, this was a question from before. Just there, you mentioned class, and I know this is the issue and you've addressed it, but there are about 40 kids in a math class. So I know you're addressing moving forward for next year, but what about this year? The school year just started. So that's my concern, especially in a class like math. I think it's important to have smaller class sizes.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? There's another one, but
If there's anybody else, please raise your hand. And if there's questions, any personal questions like that, please send me.
They didn't hear me?
I see an Emily.
They didn't hear me.
Yep. We heard you.
Okay. So.
Yes, he's not. This is public participation, and he will reach out to you to answer that question in person. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Next, I see a hand raised in Emily.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Steinmiller. This is actually just following up on the question I asked at the start of the session. I asked about a bus for the volleyball team, and since then we've covered a lot of ground, and we've heard from Ms. O'Neill about the beautiful bus another team has, and we heard from you about there being a number of companies that offer buses. So I guess I'm left wondering what it is that the volleyball team would need to do to get a bus, because my understanding is the coach has tried to do that and hasn't been able to. So I'm just hoping to get some concrete guidance in that respect.
I should respond to this during my session, so I apologize for that. I can follow up with you directly. All requests that were submitted by coaches were filled. So let me talk to you offline about that, but there are no requests for volleyball for buses.
Huh. Oh.
I can follow up.
I'm not sure if you can still hear me or if I've been muted again, but there must be a communication problem in that then, and I will follow up also with the coach and follow up with you as well. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
The process, they submit whether they request a bus or not. The entire list for volleyball says parent travel. It does not say buses at all. All buses that were requested, again, our clerk made sure that we got, and our business accountant made sure all of those were purchased for every single team that was submitted for the fall. That said parent travel for every single game.
Okay, I appreciate that. And just to be clear, that it's the who has ownership of submitting those requests? Is that the coach then? So he would be the one to follow up with?
Coach, but I can follow up with you outside of this. If you wouldn't mind sending me an email, I will reach out to you directly.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Same thing with the previous person.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Steinmiller. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Okay. Thank you, everyone.
So Sarah told me to find you.
Yes, you emailed me.
Did I?
Yes. About time and all of it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So I have your email?
Yes.
No, I don't. Do you mind writing it down again? I probably do. It's probably on my list. And if you're willing to give a phone number, that would be great too. Yeah. So tells me you're an artist.
Yes.
Oh, we have that in common. I was an art teacher.
That's so cool.
Nice to meet you.
I'm gonna put you to work.
Yes, absolutely. I want to help.